Welcome to Healthy Vision Talk Radio, the podcast for people in search of a physician with alternative solutions for their eye problems. From the best-selling, award-winning, world's-only homeopathic ophthalmologist, here's your host, Dr. Edward Kondrot.
Welcome to Healthy Vision. This is your host, Dr. Edward Kondrot, and I'm here to help you conquer your vision loss. And I'm excited because I'm back in Phoenix, Arizona. My goodness, I've been away for a couple of months, and it's so great to be back in the Valley. We just completed our 6th annual Microcurrent Case Conference, which is a wonderful meeting. Practitioners from all over the United States got together to talk about their experiences with microcurrent. And next Sunday, I'm going to have the winner of the Microcurrent Case Conference be my guest, so make sure you tune in October the 14th for that. But right now, my good friend, Tom Quackenbush, has joined us. As a matter of fact, he's joined us via Skype. He's in the Netherlands right now. And Tom and I have been very good friends for the last 15 years. I met him at the Vision Educator meeting in Virginia Beach, and I was much impressed with his work. And he has been one of the influential people in my life who convinced me that Dr. Bates is a genius. And Tom, welcome to Healthy Vision.
Yes, thank you for inviting me back. I'm very happy to be talking with you again. And it's been a while since we've talked, and I'm just real happy to be back and talk about natural vision on your program again. Thank you.
Okay, and it's 2 a.m. in the Netherlands, so if you're not as sharp as you usually are, we'll understand that. But let's get down to business. And let's begin by talking, what are the principles of natural vision?
Right. Well, you just mentioned Dr. Bates being a genius, and Dr. Bates was, of course, an ophthalmologist like yourself, and he spent many, many years of research figuring out the truth about natural vision. And there's actually 3 very key principles, natural principles underlying good vision. And those are called movement, what Bates called central fixation. I refer to it as centralizing is a little bit nicer way to say it. And relaxation is the most important principle that Bates discovered about everything about good vision. And these 3 principles are what I've been teaching my students for the last 30 years. They're natural, they're correct, and people who wear glasses do not have these principles mainly. They're interfering, as Dr. Bates said, with movement, and they're interfering with the centralizing, and they're interfering with the relaxation. And anyone who does that cannot have normal vision. So Bates did not invent vision, of course, but what he did do is figure out how nature created us to use our mind and our body in a very specific way, and we actually teach ourselves how to do this when we're born, and most babies see clearly after about a year or so of birth. And they said if we have these good principles for a whole lifetime, we would never get glasses.
Yeah, well, so folks out there, pay attention to what Tom Quackenbush is going to tell you, because I know that this works. In fact, Tom at one point in his life was severely nearsighted, and by using these techniques, he completely eliminated his need for glasses. So let's continue. This is really good stuff, Tom.
Yeah, and you've taken my class also, and I was happy to teach you and a lot of your clients, and I can remind you and teach the listeners now about these principles. So let's start with that first one now, which is movement. Now, that sounds like a simple idea, and most people would say, well, of course I have movement, but what many students become quite surprised about when they take my course,
I think that we lost Tom. We're calling via Skype, and he was talking about movement, so I'm sure he'll call us right back. And the movement principle is probably one of the most important facets of our visual system, moving our eyes in the proper manner. And Tom's going to talk more about that when he rejoins us. But in terms of movement, most people use their eyes in a very unhealthy manner. And by that, I mean they do more central fixation. They don't use their peripheral vision. They don't follow objects properly. And now you're back, Tom. I kind of filled in a little bit about movement, about the problem, so the ball's in your court now.
Okay, thank you. I'm using Skype again. If we get cut off, I'll call you back with my regular line.
Well, you know what? I took good notes when I took your class, so I have my notes right. I have my notes right in front of you. In fact, a lot of times I have parroted your lecture to my patients. So I hope you don't have a copyright on it.
No, I can't copyright movement.
But you know what? I'm no Tom Quackenbush, but I try my best to get your points across. So.
Yeah. Well, that's great because it's just natural things. So back onto this movement principle. Right when we got cut off, I was starting to explain how many of my students, when they take my classes, begin to realize how often they're being still. And you know, in your reading of Bates's work, Bates said one of the worst habits for vision is something called staring. And this is a very big surprise for many students when they go through my course. A lot of my students in the first class will say, I don't think I ever stare, I don't think I do that very much. And what happens as we go through, normally I teach a 7-week course, and as we go through the week, students begin to realize, and they come back and they say, gee, it seems like I stare a lot. And Dr. Bates said this is a terrible, stressful vision habit. So what does that mean? What is that staring? Well, there's actually many different types of staring, but probably the worst form of all is when a person has no movement and they're frozen. It's kind of like they're fixed. They're not really seeing anything. Their eyelids are opened. They're just kind of spaced out. Maybe they're daydreaming. Maybe they're thinking about something else. And what's happening there in that staring habit is they're frozen. And they're not involved with seeing the world, and this is a strain to do that. This has actually been proven by psychology research, showing that when people stare, the vision goes down immediately. It's been shown with animal research that all animals need to have their eyes continually moving in order to maintain normal vision. So this movement principle, one of the best ways for your listeners to play with this movement principle is to think they have a pencil, a pretend pencil or feather on their nose, and just begin moving your head. Now notice I just mentioned the head movement. It's not correct only to move the eyes. We need to have movement for vision, but not just the eyes. The head is also having a movement. So they wrote that both the eyes and the head are moving all day. Oh, are we still there?
No. Norm just gave us a 2-minute signal, and just ignore that. But we do have 2 minutes to go before break, so I didn't want to interrupt your thought. So.
Okay. So we have the movement principle. If somebody thinks you just pretend you have a feather on your nose and you're brushing objects, then your neck will be released. Then your eyes will have much more relaxed, natural movements. And we need to eliminate that staring habit. There's no way to go back to good, normal, natural vision with the staring, freezing habit. Very, very harmful to be fixed and locked. So we want to come back to that, call it circulation, call it movement, call it being more fluid, more flexible. And this is one of the great, great keys that Dr. Bates discovered for vision. And everyone who wants to improve their vision needs to relearn the natural movements. Okay.
So we're coming up to a break right now on Healthy Vision, and you're listening. I'm your host, Dr. Edward Kondrot, and with me is Tom Quackenbush. He's the author of the best-selling book, Relearning to See, and also the book, Better Eyesight. And we're talking about the essentials for you to learn to have better vision. You can also visit his website at www.naturalvisioncenter.com. So when we come back, we're going to continue talking about these natural vision habits. Okay.
Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
This is Dr. Edward Kondrot. I recently finished a grueling backpacking trip with my friend Dr. Robert Rowan, editor of Second Opinion newsletter. He is a non-stop walking, talking encyclopedia of natural healing. I learned more hiking with him than most of my medical meetings. I traveled from Tampa to join him on this trek in the high Sierras of California, incurring over $1,000 in expenses for this trip with airfare and investment in the latest camping equipment. But you can have the same experience by subscribing to Dr. Rowan's phenomenal newsletter. For only $39, you can have Second Opinion delivered right to your door each month. Call today and you'll get 5 free special reports. Call 800-791-3445 to subscribe. Please take advantage of this special offer. I guarantee you will not incur the aching muscles like I got. Call 800-791-3445 for your own copy today. Next year, I might just stay at home and read Second Opinion.
Would you like to improve your eyesight naturally and learn how to teach others to do the same? Did you know that nearsightedness, myopia, is not genetic and that it is not necessary to wear reading glasses after the age of 40? The Natural Vision Center offers its internationally acclaimed, certified natural eyesight improvement teacher training program in Holland each summer. This educational program trains you thoroughly how to teach your students to improve their nearsightedness, farsightedness, astigmatism, presbyopia, crossed eyes, and many other vision problems. For 30 years, American Tom Quackenbush, director of the Natural Vision Center, has taught thousands of students to improve their vision by relearning natural, relaxed vision habits and principles, not exercises, all day long. In addition to better vision, many students have released their chronic neck tension and have improved their depth perception, color perception, memory, and concentration. You can order Tom's best-selling 521-page book, Relearning to See, Improve Your Eyesight Naturally, on Amazon.com. For more information, visit naturalvisioncenter.com and relearn how to see naturally and clearly.
This is Dr. Edward Kondrot. I recently finished a grueling backpacking trip with my friend Dr. Robert Rowan, editor of Second Opinion newsletter. He is a non-stop walking, talking encyclopedia of natural healing. I learned more hiking with him than most of my medical meetings. I traveled from Tampa to join him on this trek in the high Sierras of California, incurring over $1,000 in expenses for this trip with airfare and investment in the latest camping equipment. But you can have the same experience by subscribing to Dr. Rowan's phenomenal newsletter. For only $39, you can have Second Opinion delivered right to your door each month. Call today and you'll get 5 free special reports. Call 800-791-3445 to subscribe. Please take advantage of this special offer. I guarantee you will not incur the aching muscles like I got. Call 800-791-3445 for your own copy today. Next year, I might just stay at home and read Second Opinion.
Have you ever heard of structured water? Do you know the benefits of structured water? How would you like to drink pure water that saves life? Biophoton water that revives. Introducing the Natural Action Water Unit from StructuredWaterTechnologies.com. Many people have not researched reverse osmosis. Many people do not research bottled water. We just trust the corporate company sales pitch. Do the research. Watch the videos. Log on to StructuredWaterTechnologies.com and learn. We carry portable natural action units you can take anywhere. Camping, restaurants, home use, and more. Safe, energizing water. Water is one of the most important worldly commodities. Log on to StructuredWaterTechnologies.com. That's StructuredWaterTechnologies.com. Order yours today. Lifetime warranty and a 90-day money-back guarantee.
Log on and listen live. 1100KFNX.com.
Welcome back to Healthy Vision. This is your host, Dr. Edward Kondrot. And with me is Thomas Quackenbush. He's calling in from the Netherlands. And Tom Quackenbush is a well-known vision educator, author of Relearning to See and Better Eyesight. And we're talking about the principles of natural vision. We covered movement. And Tom, you're going to talk about the other 2 principles that are important.
Right. Great. Thank you, Dr. Kondrot. Yeah, let's go on to the second principle Dr. Bates discovered for normal clear vision, and that's called centralizing. And centralizing is a more subtle principle. It's not as obvious, but basically need to have our interest
Unfortunately, we're having trouble with the Skype connection, and modern technology can be really beneficial, but we've lost Tom, and I'm sure he's going to call us right back, and he's talking about the second principle of natural vision called centralization. If you want more information on Tom Quackenbush, his two best-selling books, you can go to www.naturalvisioncenter.com. That's his website. He practices in the Netherlands, Holland. And Tom and I have been good friends for the last 15 years, and he really has influenced my thinking in regards to Dr. Bates, the wonderful work that Dr. Bates, who is a turn-of-the-century ophthalmologist, has done to promote natural eyesight. Dr. Bates taught that all eye disease was caused by stress in the eye, and by learning to reduce the stress, you can improve your vision. And that's essentially what Tom Quackenbush does with his natural vision technique. And he's back, so Tom, let's finish up with those two other principles.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Kondrot. I'm using my regular home phone now, so we should be all right here. Okay, so I was talking about centralizing. We have a large picture in front of us. However, what's very interesting with vision is that the only place anyone can see clearly and where we see the best is right in the center of the picture. Right in the center at a small point, with your work, the macula lutea. So our best vision is right in the center, and that's where we need to have our primary interest in the visual field all day long. So people who have blurry vision, what they're doing is they're diffusing. They're spreading out their attention and trying to see the entire picture clearly at once, and that is impossible to do, and it's a strain to do that. So Dr. Bates taught his clients to come back to the center of the picture, keep your primary attention there, and just allow your peripheral vision to be just that, which is peripheral vision. And then the third, final principle is relaxation, which means we should never be straining to see. A good example of straining to see would be a squinting habit, where people tighten their eyelids and they strain to see things and they lock their neck tight and they're putting in a force to see better. And what Dr. Bates discovered is just the opposite is necessary, that when we don't strain and try to see, vision improves again. So these three principles, movement, centralization, relaxation, are the real keys to natural clear vision. And now, if you like, we could go on to the three habits and mention those. Can we do that?
Actually, most people don't follow those principles, and that's why they develop eye problems, nearsightedness, and trouble with their vision.
That's right.
I mean, it sounds so simple, but if you indeed practice these principles, you will notice an improvement of vision, a relaxation of your eyesight. Mm-hmm. But let's move on to the habits of natural vision that are so important.
Right. Dr. Bates taught habits, and it's very important, first of all, to recognize, and a huge understanding by most people about the Bates method is they think it's eye exercises for 10 or 20 minutes a day. And when we study Bates's work, he said to have these correct vision habits all day long. So that's a very different thing. And so these three habits Bates called shifting and breathing and blinking. So the shifting habit is simply the movement and the centralizing. So if we go back to that nose feather, nose pencil idea I had, if we move and keep our neck mobile and shift, as Bates called it, Bates said shift from one point to another. So there you have it. Shifting is the movement. So we have a continual movement all day long. And how do we have that movement? We shift our interest from a small point to another small point to another small point. And there you have it. There's your centralizing combined with the movement, and Bates called that the shifting habit. The next habit is breathing, and many people in modern day have usually subconsciously...
I wanted to make a comment, Tom,
yes,
on that shifting.
Yes.
that most people, because of modern technology, computers, cell phones, texting, they're not shifting at all. They're staring, they're looking at one particular point, and they just don't move.
Yes, they don't have the movement, and sometimes they don't even go to a point. What many people also do is they spread out and try to see the whole computer monitor clearly. And that's a very high stress to do that.
Okay, sorry for the interruption. Let's go to the second habit.
Yeah, second habit is simply breathing. A moment ago you said the principles were simple. The habits are simple too. Breathing, abdominal breathing. Breathing is especially connected to the most important principle of all, which is the relaxation principle. So when a student discovers that they're holding their breath, that they have very shallow, what I call shoulder tense, tight breathing, they can gradually each day relearn this abdominal diaphragmatic breathing, and that helps not only vision relax, but the whole mind and body relax more also. A very important key vision habit is the abdominal breathing. And then if we can go on to the third habit now, the blinking. Dr. Bates watched people who were wearing glasses and so on. Of course, they didn't have contacts 100 years ago. So Bates watched people wearing glasses that their blinking was very seldom, that some people go for very long periods of time without blinking. And so Dr. Bates wrote, very simple, 2-word sentence he wrote, blink frequently. So what is that? We have our eyelids and we have eyelid muscles, and so there's 3 parts to having natural good blinking habits. First of all, the blinking needs to be frequent, I just mentioned. And what is the frequency? Every 2 or 3 seconds on the average, let's say, is natural blinking. And that'll seem very strange to people in the beginning because they don't blink very much, and they think the frequent blinking is very strange. And then we want the blinking to be very soft. So we think of the eyelids as being as soft as the wings of a butterfly. Very gentle, very soft. And then the third part of natural blinking is quickness. I think some magazine measured it with a laser beam or something. It's like 1/40th of a second. So the blinking is very fast, very quick. And remember, it's very easy and soft, no effort, and very frequent. And also, as a bonus with the blinking helps eliminate that very harmful staring habit. So all of these habits start to come together after a while, and we begin to literally be relearning how to see the world naturally. And it's a very exciting
process. And of course, that's the title of your book, Relearning to See, which is appropriate. And we're coming up to another break. You're listening to Healthy Vision. This is your host, Dr. Edward Kondrot. My guest is Thomas Quackenbush. And we've just covered the principles of natural vision, the habits of natural vision, and we're saving the best part at the end of this break. When we come back, we're going to talk about reducing your prescription glasses. So we'll be right back after this break.
News Radio, I'm Melissa Rayberger. One more month of campaigning and the voters will decide. For now, President Obama is raising more cash. Kristen Welker reports on a West Coast campaign swing.
The president is in California to raise millions and reassure Hollywood supporters after a subpar debate performance. And after a week that recharged Republicans and re-energized the race.
Mitt Romney spent a second day campaigning in Florida where he promised he will cross the aisle to work with Democrats.
I will do everything in my power to draw on that greatness of the American people to make us more united as a people, to have us pull together, to reach across the aisle and find good Democrats in the House and the Senate that care deeply about America, just as I do. I know they're there.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports the meningitis outbreak is growing. Now more than 90 people are known to be infected and 9 people have died. CDC says the steroid that triggered the outbreak was administered at 75 sites in 23 states. This is NBC News Radio.
Hi, everybody. Jim Howell from the KFNX Weather Center. Finally, much cooler air has entered the Valley of the Sun, and it will continue to get cooler this upcoming week. Mid-90s for this weekend. And Tuesday and Wednesday of this upcoming week were mid to upper 80s. Overnight lows mid-50s, outlying valley areas. Jim Howell, Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Currently, in downtown Phoenix, it's 95 degrees.
Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Did you know that more than 65% of corporations on the New York Stock Exchange are using barter? In fact, more than 470,000 companies in the U.S. participate in barter. What do they know that you don't? Think you know barter? Think again. With Premier Barter, the Valley's fastest growing and most business-friendly barter company, you can gain access to a network of more than 40,000 companies. Through Premier Barter, you can expand your customer base and generate barter dollars, which can be spent through hundreds of companies locally and thousands of companies nationwide. Almost anything you can think of, things you're currently buying for cash, can be acquired with barter. Visit www.premierbarter.com. It will be the best business decision you ever make. 602-470-8020. That's 602-470-8020. More than 470,000 companies in the U.S. participate in barter. What do they know that you don't? Call Premier Barter today. That's 602-470-8020. PremierBarter.com.
Since 1991, the law offices of Willinchek and Bartness have provided the quality business litigation service that you'd find at a big firm with small firm atmosphere. Willinchek and Bartness focus on cases involving breach of contract, real estate litigation, construction defect, business fraud, and breach of fiduciary duty. For professional yet very personal legal representation, call Willinchek and Bartness today at 602-606-2810. That's 602-606-2810.
Don't touch that dial. Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Welcome back to Healthy Vision. This is your host, Dr. Edward Kondrot. And with me is Tom Quackenbush, author of Relearning to See and Better Eyesight. And we're talking about ways to improve your vision, the principles of natural vision, habits of natural vision. And now we're going to talk about how to reduce your prescription glasses. So, Tom, this is where all your passion is.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Here we go again. The idea of reducing the power of the prescription glasses is very, very important key to success for most people. Many, many hundreds of students have told me that when they wear their regular full power, call them normal glasses if you like, that typically people buy, and they wear them, say, for an hour or two or all day long, and then when they take them off, their vision is significantly more blurred. And that's a major problem here. And then a year later, 2 years later, the person says, gee, I need a stronger prescription. Well, why do you need a stronger prescription? Well, let's take a myope, someone who's nearsighted, for example, someone who can see perhaps clearly up close usually, but cannot see clearly far away. Now, you go and get that strong prescription, say, for driving your car, and it's clear now. Of course, you want to be able to drive and do your work and see clearly far away. But if you think about it closely, that prescription for driving is so powerful, it's really only designed for faraway vision. If you look at a book up close with that prescription, you're wearing a prescription that's wrong, that's highly overpowered. And this is one of the things that we need to address. It's very important. Because even if a student practices the good principles and habits, now the vision wants to improve naturally, then you put on the strong glasses, and what happens? Your vision goes back to being more blurry again. So what's the solution to this? It's kind of interesting. Bates said, take off your glasses and never wear them again. Of course, that's not very practical for most people to do it that way. You still have to drive or make a living or read a book or something. So there's a wonderful intermediate solution here between not wearing the full power prescription and not throwing the glasses away right away. You can't do that usually. So what can we do? We can lower the power. Now, take the nearsighted myope person once again, for example. For most states in the United States, you know that it's not required to have perfect 20/20 vision. You know that you can lower the power a little bit. For example, California and many states, probably the most common power is what we call 20/40. 20/40 is not perfectly clear vision, but many states have determined that that's vision that's safe enough and legal for driving. So what can the student do? What can your clients do? They can go to their eye doctor. They can say, hey, I want to lower the power down to whatever the legal requirement is in your particular state and get the minimum prescription for safe legal driving. Now, what does this do? This now is going to give room for your vision to get better. Now you're practicing the good vision principles. Now you're practicing the good vision habits more and more each day. You're literally relearning how to see in a relaxed way permanently again. And now when you put on your glasses, now it's not a full power. It's reduced in power. And what does that do? That allows room for your vision to get better. And then what the student experiences in my class over time, they come back to me and say, hey, those lower-powered glasses that I got in the beginning of your class, now they're clear. Now they're strong. And I say, oh, well, that's great. Obviously, if you improved your vision, you even had the eye doctor verify it. Now what do we need to do? Now we need to lower the power again. Okay? So it's a very simple idea, but a very essential idea. Now, still with the myopes, they cannot wear the reduced power glasses that they got for driving at the computer, because up close, those glasses that are for driving that are reduced in power are going to be too strong at the computer. So what can we do? I know it's a little bit more money, but well worth doing. What do? We get an even lower power for the computer work, computer-reduced glasses. So that even the computer screen is not perfectly clear. We lower the power enough so it's not perfectly clear. It's high enough the power that you can do your computer work, but low enough that it's not perfectly clear. What does that do again? Now there's room for your vision to improve while you're doing your computer work. And
I have a question, Tom.
Yes, please.
Do you recommend giving bifocals instead of having those two pair of glasses to have bifocals?
No, definitely not.
Tell me why.
I had an optometrist friend of mine in San Jose tell me he calls these people, they get bifocal neck. The neck is tight enough anyway for anyone who's wearing glasses. There's no exceptions to that. And when you get the bifocal and you have that lower part, what do? You pull your head back. You're pulling your head back, and you're pointing your eyes down to look through the bottom part of that bifocal. That's incorrect. That's unnatural to do that, and will highly stress your neck. No, bifocals, trifocals, quadrifocals, all these things are definitely out. It's very, very important to get two pairs of glasses. And the beauty, what I was just going to mention a moment ago, was that as your vision gets better, the computer glasses can now be used for driving at the appropriate time. So it's not more money in the long run, and it works very well. Now, for the presbyopes and the farsights who need only glasses, let's say, for reading up close, they can lower the power. They can go to the drugstore. Usually, they have all these +1, +1.5, +2, and so on. What can they do? They can take a book with them. They can take a computer printout with them to the store, to the 5 and 10 store drugstore, play with all the different powers of the glasses on the rack, find the prescription glasses that's just good enough to read with or do your computer work with, but it's not perfectly clear. Not perfectly clear. What does that do again? That gives you room for your vision to get better. This is absolutely the best way to go.
I have another question, Tom. In terms of practical changes, So I go to the eye doctor and I reduce my prescription.
Mm-hmm.
And incidentally, I don't wear glasses. You'll be very proud of that fact. I follow many of your techniques. I'm 62 and I don't need glasses for distance or reading. Occasionally when I'm under stress, I'll need them for reading, but that's it. But what is a practical change in your prescription if you're following your vision methods?
Well, of course, that's a very common and important question. Two of my favorite examples I like to give with this is my teacher, if you remember, Dr. Janet Goodrich, a great world-famous Bates teacher. She had about 6 diopters of myopia. She had very high astigmatism in one eye. She had strabismus, cross-eyed. One eye was looking up, actually, and the other eye was looking down. And it took her about 2.5 years, okay? 2.5 years, and then she passed her driver's vision test without glasses, and she was glasses-free from then on. Now, when I say this 2.5 years, I would say that's a very common length of time for many people. Of course, it depends on how long you've worn glasses, how ingrained those poor vision habits are, staring, not blinking, not breathing. It also depends on, of course, on how high the prescription is. So there's many factors involved. The health of the person can be a big factor also. You just mentioned that your vision is not as clear when you have more stress. So how healthy, how relaxed is the person being? So it does take time. However, if you put this in perspective, that she wore glasses, say for 20 years before she started the Bates method, then you can consider that 2.5 years is actually a very short period of time. And what she told us...
If my math is correct, that comes to about a quarter of a diopter, or maybe one diopter every 4 months, which is significant. So
yeah, but again, if you put that in perspective, let's say you improve 1 diopter in 4 months. Then what I ask my students when they tell me that, I said, hey, when's the last time you saw that well, 1 diopter lower? And you know what they usually say? 5 years ago. So if you keep it in perspective...
That puts it in perspective.
Yes, and you need to keep the perspective because otherwise the student gets frustrated and say, hey, I've been practicing the habits for 2 days. How come my vision's not perfectly clear? Well, we need to be reasonable. And if you keep that perspective and watch your vision, actually one of the most exciting parts in the beginning is just to watch the vision begin to start getting better, because that's supposed to be impossible. So just to watch the beginning is very exciting, and you start to build your confidence. You begin to do more things without your glasses on, and you keep improving, and you know experientially the truth of what Bates discovered for natural vision. It's a very wonderful thing. Another thing, I mentioned the presbyope. I do want to mention one thing here. I'm talking about what happens when people improve their vision. There's something called reversal processes.
You know what, Tom? We're coming up to a break, and maybe we'll keep that dangling in front of the listeners when we come back and talk about reversal symptoms, which is something very interesting that can occur as your eyes get better. You're listening to Healthy Vision. This is your host, Dr. Edward Kondrot. My guest is Thomas Quackenbush, who's calling in from the Netherlands. He's a world-famous vision educator, author of Relearning to See and Better Vision. And we're going to be right back after this break.
Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
This is Dr. Edward Kondrot. I recently finished a grueling backpacking trip with my friend Dr. Robert Rowan, editor of Second Opinion newsletter. He is a nonstop walking, talking encyclopedia of natural healing. I learned more hiking with him than most of my medical meetings. I traveled from Tampa to join him on this trek in the high Sierras of California, incurring over $1,000 in expenses for this trip with airfare and investment in the latest camping equipment. But you can have the same experience by subscribing to Dr. Rowan's phenomenal newsletter. For only $39, you can have Second Opinion delivered right to your door each month. Call today and you'll get 5 free special reports. Call 800-791-3445 to subscribe. Please take advantage of this special offer. I guarantee you will not incur the aching muscles like I got. Call 800-791-3445 for your own copy today. Next year, I might just stay at home and read Second Opinion.
Would you like to improve your eyesight naturally and learn how to teach others to do the same? Did you know that nearsightedness, myopia, is not genetic and that it is not necessary to wear reading glasses after the age of 40? The Natural Vision Center offers its internationally acclaimed, certified natural eyesight improvement teacher training program in Holland each summer. This educational program trains you thoroughly how to teach your students to improve their nearsightedness, farsightedness, astigmatism, presbyopia, crossed eyes, and many other vision problems. For 30 years, American Tom Quackenbush, director of the Natural Vision Center, has taught thousands of students to improve their vision by relearning natural, relaxed vision habits and principles, not exercises, all day long. In addition to better vision, many students have released their chronic neck tension and have improved their depth perception, color perception, memory, and concentration. You can order Tom's best-selling 521-page book, Relearning to See, Improve Your Eyesight Naturally, on Amazon.com. For more information, visit naturalvisioncenter.com and relearn how to see naturally and clearly.
Learn principles of healing that will change you and your health forever. I'm Dr. Kondrot, and I want to share with you 4 truly phenomenal events. You may think that these things can't happen and that they are exaggerated, but they are very common when you understand homeopathy. My office manager received news of a tragic death in her family and was in a state of hysteria. A few homeopathic pellets for grief immediately put her in a calm state. My receptionist suddenly developed a severe throbbing headache and could not work. A few pellets of a remedy for headaches, and within seconds her headache went away. A patient's sister was complaining of severe agonizing menstrual cramps. A few pellets of this remedy for cramps, and she was shocked that her pain went away so quickly. You can learn these principles and apply them in this homeopathic course beginning October the 27th. The course includes 6 monthly webinar meetings along with extensive class material. Call 800-430-9328 for more information. Change your health forever. That's 800-430-9328.
London Gold. It's the best.
Diamonds. A gift of diamond jewelry says, you're special. You're special to me. That's why selecting the perfect diamond is so important. For over 30 years, London Gold has been privileged to be a part of these special events. The experience of selecting your diamond is special to us. We understand how important this transaction is to you. Our staff of designers and craftsmen will help you select the diamond and create a distinctive and impressive piece of jewelry that will fit your budget. Our prices will impress you. Visit our website and see for yourself. London Gold Sparkles, with 3 Valley locations, Arrowhead, Chandler, and Scottsdale. Or visit us online at londongold.com.
London Gold. It's the best.
Visit us online at 1100kfnx.com.
Welcome back to Healthy Vision. This is your host, Dr. Edward Kondrot, and with me is Thomas Quackenbush. He's calling in from the Netherlands, and we're talking about principles of natural vision, habits of natural vision, and ways to reduce your prescription glasses. And Tom, I believe you wanted to talk about reversal symptoms, which are important to recognize during this whole process.
Yes, thanks again, Dr. Kondrot. This is a very important issue that when students choose to improve their vision naturally, what will happen while they're in that process, and it can be very soon or it can be in weeks or months, is we begin to re-experience temporarily different stresses that were connected to the vision getting more blurry in the first place. So, for example, that staring habit we talked about, the student can begin to re-experience and have memories and emotions of whatever stresses, for example, were present when they first ever got blurry vision. When they first got glasses, there had to be some change, of course. When you go from clarity to blurry vision in the beginning, there obviously has to be something that's changing. By the way, I just want to throw in briefly here that myopia is not genetic, and you do not need to wear glasses. You're one proof of that when people have more birthdays than they may prefer to have. So people at any age can definitely improve their vision. And when you do, you begin having these emotions coming back. A very common one for nearsighted people is fear, that there's some fear, they're afraid of something, especially for children maybe, and they start that staring and that spaced out locking up state, very harmful, and the eye muscles begin to contract, the neck begins to contract, and it starts tightening up and squeezing the eyeball out of shape into blurry vision. So it's very important that when students are beginning to improve their vision, let me give one more example. The neck can be very, very sore for many students. It's very common in the third, fourth week of my courses. Students come in and they say, Tom, you're a pain in my neck. And I say, good. That means you've been practicing the good vision habit. You're having more movement with your head. The neck is releasing. And what's happening there is that tension in the neck that for many, many years, maybe even decades, that's become chronically tense and tight is now beginning to release, and now it begins to feel sore, and that's a healing process. And it's very important.
Tom, it's interesting because in homeopathy, the same thing occurs. As we treat somebody using homeopathy, we have something called the return of old symptoms. That old symptoms and old problems can come back. It's also called an aggravation. And patients are alarmed, but this is actually a good sign. It means that healing is going in the right direction. But the question I have is, in homeopathy, we like to leave these symptoms go. We don't like to treat them with medication or anything like that that might suppress those symptoms. So do you recommend when people get these reversal symptoms to just observe them and let them go, or to be careful not to treat them aggressively?
Yeah, no, we don't want to suppress them and use drugs or other suppressing techniques to push them back down again. Then the vision would probably get worse again also. No, what I suggest to students is they consider any type of natural healing. Homeopathy you do, acupuncture, massage therapy, osteopathic work, chiropractic work. There's many, many ways. Improving diet can be very important for many people. There's many ways to support this process, what you call aggravation, the return of symptoms. I like to call it reversal processes. And for the student or the patient to be willing to go through that temporary discomfort, and then when they're through that, they go up to a higher level of health. They go up to a higher level of vision. And talking about that, if I can, I'd like to talk about more of the benefits the students get.
Yeah, let's hear that. I'm interested in hearing that, Tom.
Yeah. Of course, probably most of my students sign up to see more clearly, and they have no idea about the many, many other important, wonderful benefits that students get when they improve their vision. To have good, clear, natural vision is a reflection of a higher level of health and functioning. So what are some of these other benefits? They're really quite exciting. Depth perception gets better. The feeling of near and far objects is far, far better only when you have natural vision. It's a very important part of vision is to get that 3D vision back. Color perception gets better. So a student comes in and saying, well, with just 1 or 2 shades of green leaves on the tree, now I see 6 or 7 different shades of color. So that's a very exciting thing for many students. Concentration gets better. Actually, if we go back to that interesting centralizing principle for a minute, seeing one point the best in the center of our picture, what is that really? That's a form of visual concentration where you're not distracted by your peripheral environment. So concentration gets better and dramatically better for many students. And then memory improves. What we see, the objects that we see during the day, we remember much, much better, much more vivid when we have good vision habits. Earlier I mentioned the neck. Everyone who has glasses has a tight neck, chronically tense neck, and so we want to release that neck. I talked about that nose feather idea. When you move your nose, move your head more all day long, let it just float and be relaxed. Now that neck chronic tension starts to release, and that's very, very valuable, of course, for people when that happens. And then the most important benefit probably of everything with the Bates method in natural vision is the relaxation. The person just feels more relaxed. When you have the movement principle, what are you? You're more flexible. You have more circulation, and therefore you're more relaxed. To be still and locked is not relaxing. Centralizing, I just mentioned, is a form of concentration. That's relaxing. It's not relaxing to be scattered and diffused and trying to do 100 things at one time. So relaxation is actually the most profound and even subtle benefit that students get. And I've had many, many, many students tell me that the relaxation benefits are now more important to them than the fact that they see more clearly.
Well, it's really amazing that the eye, when you have natural vision, how the eye can affect the rest of the body. But it does make sense because of the connection with the eye and the neurological system of the entire body. Yeah. Unfortunately, Tom, we're coming up to a break on Healthy Vision, and you're listening to Dr. Edward Kondrot. My guest has been Tom Quackenbush. And Tom, I want to thank you so much for being a guest on Healthy Vision. And for the listeners who want to get more information on Tom's work, you can go to www.naturalvisioncenter.com. And as I mentioned, he has published 2 best-selling books, Relearning to See and Better Eyesight. Both of these can be obtained on Amazon.com. So, Tom, thanks so much for taking time to be on Healthy Vision.
Oh, it's a great pleasure, Dr. Kondrot. Thank you very much.
And next week, we are going to have the winner of the 6th annual CASE conference be the guest. And the CASE conference was a wonderful event. It was very successful. We had microcurrent practitioners from all over the United States come to share wonderful cases and information. And next week, I'll be sharing that with you. So thank you so much for listening to Healthy Vision. This is your host, Dr. Edward Kondrot. And good health and clear vision until next week.
We hope you enjoyed today's broadcast. If you'd like to learn more about alternative eye treatments, access free reports, or subscribe to Dr. Kondrot's newsletter, visit us at healingtheeye.com. If you enjoyed today's show, please write a review. We love hearing from listeners. To hear more episodes about alternative eye treatments, click subscribe and download all of our previous shows. We wish you good health and clear vision.